Hello, my friends. Welcome to a very special episode of the Party Nerds Podcast. I'm Richard Gabai, Robert Carradine. We are coming to you live from a triple secret location high in the Hollywoodland Hills, joined today by my very good friend, actor, author, screenwriter, director, producer, and superly enthusiastic, highly trained, and very well respected martial artist, Sean Patrick Flanery. Sean.
Thank you. That was a heck of an introduction, man. You left out the most important one, a dad.
Exactly. You know, I was thinking about that, and I'm glad you cut me off. Sean is one of those guys that I admire professionally and personally. I think we try and walk in similar ways, although he can kick ass much more than I can. Although I'm working, Sean, I've been working on my running. You know, I figured it's a little late for me to learn how to get on the mat, but I got it. Like, I'm trying to stay lean, I'm trying to stay limber so that I can run.
It's never too late, brother.
Amazing. So Sean and I remember, you know, the first time we met, Sean was still living in Los Angeles before a movie he was not in, Escape from LA. He did. We met up there at his beautiful home in the hills. You were in the hills, right?
Yep, overlooking the Capitol Records building.
Yep, and instant good vibes between us, and always, you know, he stars in the favorite film I've ever made, which is near and dear to my heart.
What? I love that.
Insight. You can still catch her on different things, but seriously, Sean was the name that got me greenlit, even though it was a real small movie. And well, heck, we've kind of been pals ever since, because, you know, I was a huge fan. I mean, I don't know what the first big thing that brought you into the spotlight, but for me, it was Young Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first big thing that I ever did. I mean, Young Indiana Jones opened up every door that's open to me today. I mean, without me, I'd still be waiting tables at TGI Fridays, which was a good gig, by the way. I mean, I actually made a lot of loot doing that. But yeah, it opened up every door for me, and it's the only job I've ever had where I got to ride a horse to lunch. Kind of crazy. But I mean, I'm grateful for that. It was Film School 101. You know, the DP was Dave Tattersall, who went on to do, you know, some of the biggest, most respected lit cinematographer. It's just, and I asked questions on that. I was, if you look at the call sheet, it was Christopher Lee, Vanessa Redgrave, Elizabeth Hurley, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Sean Patrick, who? I mean, I was some cat from Texas amidst people that had done, you know, real A-level work. So it was a pretty quick inauguration into that world, and I learned from everybody on that production. I really did.
Yeah, what an introduction.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, was there any Harrison Ford involvement?
Harrison did the bookends for the Chicago episode, but oddly enough, I never met him, and I wish I had, because I mean, Harrison to me was our last iconic movie star, and not a celebrity, but a real movie star like Montgomery Clift, Harrison Ford. But I never got a chance to shake his hand, but I wish I would have.
Well, the night is young. We're only halfway home. We got to make these things happen. So, this great novel that you wrote, Jane 2. I don't want to forget to bring that up because, you know, you and I, you know, we're traditional guys. My wife has read me most of this book.
Is that right?
Because I like that. And
I love that.
Yeah.
I don't just take it, I love it.
Yeah. That's how we do it. Now, I got next time we're together, I'm going to bring it so I can get it signed. But so anyway, you finish Indiana Jones, and then what's up? You've worked with all these A-listers, and then what did the business tell you was coming next?
Oddly enough, the business didn't do. You know, anytime you do a show like that, you get it, and you think George Lucas, a TV show, road's going to be easy, but nobody watched the show. I mean, I think 17 people watched it, and I counted my mom 9 of those times. So, I mean, honestly, it got 0 ratings. It stayed on the air because I think George Lucas was dangling the potentiality of Raiders Part 4. And the Star Wars trilogy, extending that. So they kept it going, but they certainly didn't keep it going because people watched it. So I did a series that I'm very proud of. I wish more people seen, but the truth is they didn't. Nobody watched it. So nobody knew who I was. Everybody, would go, that was a TV series. When was that? It wasn't eponymous like Raiders and the original trilogy. Um, so after that, I kept auditioning, and I did a film with a bunch of A-list actors, a tiny, tiny independent film called The Grass Harp, which was directed by Charlie Mathau, and Walter was in it. Man, every Jack Lemmon was in it, Piper Laurie, Sissy Spacek, Charles Durning. It was. I mean, I was on the set going, "This is crazy," um, but that was a wonderful experience. Another film that nobody saw, and then I got an opportunity to audition for a movie called Powder, and I read that script, and I really said to myself, this is why people move to LA in hopes of getting a role like this. I really, really, really wanted that role. And I auditioned for it. And while I was filming The Grass Harp, um, I let Roddy McDowall read the script. And I said, they want to fly me to Houston to meet. We were shooting it in Montgomery, Alabama. They wanted to fly me to Houston to meet the writer director in the airport just for one last meeting to see if I got it. And they wanted me to shave my whole body. And I asked Roddy. I said, "Do you think I should do this? Do you think I should shave up?" And Roddy McDowell that night he read the script. The next day he said he rapped before me. He goes, "Meet me at Cracker Barrel at 7 o'clock after you rap." I met him, and he's like, "You have to do this, Sean."
Did he come with a razor?
No, not quite. Almost. But it was a wonderful experience to be around all of those guys. And then that was my next film, Powder. And again, I thought, when you're doing a film and everything is going right, you can kind of tell. And I got that feeling. I said, I think we're doing something kind of special here. And then the film I came out, and we had a premiere at the Abco on Wilshire. And I looked out the window during the premiere, and I saw all of these people holding signs. And I thought, oh my God, there's so many fans out there. And I looked closely at the poster, and I realized they were protesting the film. So that day, the Disney damage control PR person escorted me out, and then they pulled every pick and every ad for the film across the city, and it still did a decent number. I think it did 36 million bucks, but I think it would have been far bigger without the controversy. I didn't know anything about the controversy until that day of the premiere.
Well,
But
wait a second. I don't know anything about the controversy either.
oh yeah, you got to Google that, brother. It's a heck of a story.
Okay, I'll do it. I'll Google it. Keep going.
Yeah, you got to Google it. It was a and it kind of, and back then that was before the internet, so everybody thought, oh, the stigma that is with this movie, that must be that guy, and it wasn't me. It was something about the director, who I'll tell you, I worked with him every day, and I thought, wow, what a great director. I can't say a negative word about the dude. And then some things came out, and I was kind of shocked and stunned, but I can't say a negative word about my experience with the cat. And I really don't know the truthful story behind what went on, but that kind of shut that film down, and I went back to auditioning. But look, I'm grateful to have been a part of a script like that. Like I said, it's you get into this industry thinking, man, my goal is to have one of those opportunities that you think, this is why I moved 1,500 miles away from home in hopes to get that role. Because look, at the end of the day, my goal is not to do CSI Miami. You know what I mean? States Exhibit A. Nobody stays awake at night dreaming about how I'm going to deliver that line. They just don't. For me at least, you lose sleep at night thinking, how are you going to do Powder? How are you going to do Nefarious? Those are the roles that you really think I would move away, find 5 roommates on Craigslist in hopes of pursuing a film like that. And I got the opportunity a couple of times, and I'm very grateful.
And that's definitely the right attitude.
Absolutely.
We talk about it all the time. It's become a motif as I've had now a 35-year career, just one notch above complete obscurity. But yeah, still here I am, And you brought up Nefarious. I was going to talk about that later. That's a performance of a lifetime and an opportunity of a lifetime. And again, maybe not a lot of support from powers that be, but the audience found that movie. How did you find that movie?
I did a film with Chuck and Carrie, Chuck Konzelman, Carrie Solomon. They wrote and they directed a film back in 2004, and I shot it with them in Austin. At the culmination of that film, I said, guys, I would do a Fruit Loops commercial with you. That's how much I enjoyed this process. Amazing writers and like-minded individuals. Well, 4 years ago now today, they called me, my phone rang, and I said, what's up, guys? And they said, Sean, we got a Fruit Loops commercial. And literally that's how it went. And all I said was, put me in, coach. And they said, well, we want you to read this script. Let us know what you think. I said, okay, I'll read it, but I'll tell you, I want to work with you guys. That's how much I respected these guys. Uh-huh. And I read the script. At the end of reading the script, I talked to my wife, and she goes, well, is it any good? I said, two things. A, yes, I'm going to do it. B, I'll probably never work again. It's one of those kind of scripts. And then I called them and I said, yeah, I'm in. And this is what they said to me. They said, what role do you want to play? I said, what are you talking about? I said, well, I want to play Nefarious. They're like, well, we were hoping you said that. But it was, they didn't know which one I would want to play. And so that's how it fell in my lap. And, again, I'm grateful. I'm just like you. I'm one notch above obscurity. Wow. But you know what? I look at it from a little bit of a different perspective. One of my best friends, Alfonso Ribeiro, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I grew up in Hollywood because I was an adult by the time I moved to LA to pursue acting. I've seen his life where we've been on an airplane and people have turned around and looked at him just by recognizing his voice. There is nothing that dude can do with anonymity. And there's a real power in anonymity. It allows you to be a dick when you need to be a dick. Look, my buddy Alfonso, if he slaps somebody, that's, actor got pompous. If I slap somebody, they're like, no, the dude must have wanted it. Because that's just some regular dude on the street. That guy must have asked for it. If I get shitty service in a restaurant and I go, hey, brother, it took you 45 minutes to bring my steak. What's going on? I'm not some pompous actor being demanding. I'm a guy asking an honest question. So I really put a value in that. I've somehow managed to spend 33 years in this business, and I haven't had to get a real regular job. And by regular job, I mean I've had regular jobs. I worked for Church's Fried Chicken. I threw papers since I was 8 years old. I worked for Atlas Van Lines. I dug ditches. I put culverts under driveways. This ain't real work, man. I consider real work something that you would not do unless they pay you money. Well, look at this. We all moved to LA doing this shit for free in hopes that one day somebody would see something we did and then pay us to do it. That doesn't exist in any other industry. No. So I'm great. I haven't had to get a real job in 33 years. And if it allows me to still walk through life with some anonymity, but occasionally I get a little accolade and I feel good about, man, I think I put something out there in the world that people will see and it'll move them, it'll make them think, then, man, I wouldn't change the career trajectory for the world. I really wouldn't.
Right. What's one of the funny things that's become a motif is that, we don't dig ditches for a living, and here's a guy who actually did.
Yeah, how about that?
I'll tell you, people always use that line like it's better than digging. I really did. I put culverts under driveways. And here it is, man. So, for example, some movie that I did 15 years ago, if people find out, they're like, whoa, you did X? It really this. I think about it that, or it did that to me. Not once did somebody knock on the door and go, hey, man, I just wanted to say, that culvert under the driveway, still flowing like a river. That never happened.
Exactly.
I worked at Church's Fried Chicken, and not once did somebody come through the drive-thru and go, hey, man, I don't want to place an order. I just want to say, solid golden brown on that wing last week.
Exactly. I've also said, you're talking about, you come here willing to work for free, hoping someone will pay you, right? And I've explained this to some people that they don't realize. They're like, there are probably I don't want to exaggerate it, but there are probably 10 Academy Award winning directors in Los Angeles right now, and there's probably more, that would direct a movie next week for free.
That's quickly forgotten.
The work is, it's professional sports on steroids. It's hard to get the jobs. It's hard to get the jobs. So those of us that have, and I do disagree. Now I'm now 1/10 of a degree above obscurity if you're just one notch above obscurity, because I mean, you're in several beloved movies. I mean, we didn't even talk about Boondock Saints, which has its own religion.
It kind of does, but I'll tell you this. I mean, I can walk through life and nobody recognizes me. I can go in any Home Depot, nobody recognizes me. People say, well, how often do people never? I mean, literally never. Unless there's somebody that goes, I know, I saw this guy and I saw him fill out a form and that's the guy from, but nobody goes, were you in? It just doesn't. I mean, look, it's not never, but it's practically never. And I'm not mad at it. I love the fact that I get to occasionally go to an industry event where people do know. So you get a little taste of it, but it doesn't affect your life. My kids aren't bombarded with, ooh, daddy's famous, because he's not famous. I'm a regular, they think acting is a 9 to 5 job. They're like, well, he goes to work and he has to do something. And it's not, we live in Stillwater, Oklahoma. There's nobody swarming anything, nobody asking for an autograph. It's a, and I hate to use the word grounded because it's so overused, but my kids don't know any different. They really don't understand what Hollywood is, and I'm grateful.
That is a good move.
Yeah, that's very cool, man.
Yeah, especially since it had to be, for you, it had to be spinning for a while. And I know you made a conscious decision to get out of LA when you met Lauren, and you're going to have a family.
Yeah, I mean, when I met her, we had a talk. And I'll tell you, I interrogated her. When I realized I did two things. I flew my dad out, and I told my dad about it. I said, Dad, I do you think I should marry this girl? And he said, do you love her? I said, yeah. And he goes, he goes, what do you think I'm going to say? I said, I don't know. He goes, you've never asked me that before on anybody. He goes, of course I'm going to tell you yes. You fly me out here. It's, and I asked her, once we decided we were going to have kids, I interrogated her, like everything. What do you think about homeschooling? What do you think about fiscal policy? What do you think about corporal punishment? Politics, who'd you vote for? Because your politics are exactly how you're going to raise a family, your external politics or your internal politics. What are your values, your ideals, your secrets, your dreams, all of that. And she checked every box, and it scared the shit out of me. And quickly we realized, well, we do want to have kids, but we'd never in a million years raise them in LA. And so I'm what's called an early adopter. We got out of LA 11 years ago, which in 15. Which is a long time now. People are just now figuring out, wait a minute, something's afoul here. But I met a girl that's cut from the same cloth, and I really honestly feel like I won the wife lottery. I really do. And it's meeting her was the best thing that ever happened in my life. And she gave me two wonderful kids. She raises them on the same page that I am. And I as far as Bill Gates' wealth, that's the department that I have it in. I mean, I honestly have Warren Buffett, fat wallet of family. Can I write a check for a Lamborghini? Absolutely not, I cannot. But I can cash those family checks, man. And those are the ones that count.
100%. I'm on the same page, and I have the same blessings. Speaking of same blessings, what's really funny is my daughter pointed out is that we both have these from a show called The Bay.
Yes.
And the year after we won them, neither one of us was working on the show anymore. And I take mine as a lifetime achievement award.
You should. It's a pretty cool trophy, man. Yeah. And they're very recognizable. That's cool,
man. Badass.
Yeah. You have an Emmy, brother.
Yeah, I'm an Emmy winner. You're an Emmy winner.
Well, unlike an Oscar, it's a girl.
Yeah. Yeah, so yes. When you hold it, you feel good.
Yeah.
I mean, someone like me feels good.
Yeah.
For the fans and friends out there of Boondock Saints, can you give us a little nugget of, with Norman Reedus, you guys are just a dynamo.
He's been one of my best friends since 94. People don't realize that. And so when we got cast in 99, literally, I call Reedus, I'm like, dude, are you playing? Are they so stupid? They're gonna give us a pocket full of per diem, put us in a foreign country, stick us up in a five-star hotel exactly across the street from a world famous strip club, and they think we're gonna show up on time? I mean, it was crazy. It was and, you know, when people say, "What's your favorite film?" I say, "Well, what's the criteria? You mean as far as having fun making the film or the end result?" There is no more fun experience making a film than making a film with your best friend. I mean, it doesn't get better than that because every film you're getting to know people. You know, you're not quite as relaxed as you. But I've known Regis for 4 or 5 years before we did Boondock. It was crazy.
And then you got to do it again, and maybe you're going to do it a third time. We'll see, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, so can you talk about your martial arts career?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in martial arts since I was 9. You know, everybody has a
Wow.
story about Bruce Lee of getting into martial arts, and you know, I watched Enter the Dragon or I watched Bruce Lee, and really, I saw Elvis do Suspicious Minds on the Vegas stage, and I think I was 7. I think it was 1972. And if you remember, it looked like a kimono, a gi, with the big white jumpsuit, and we're caught in a trap. I can't walk out because of, and he's doing those kicks and everything. And I asked my dad. My dad was a Golden Gloves boxer, and so my dad had taught me some hands, but I always wanted to get into martial arts. And he goes, "Yeah, you know, he's a karate guy from the old man, Ed Parker, a Kempo karate guy." And I said, "Man, I would really like to do that." And so I started pursuing martial arts. Then out in California, I got introduced to jujitsu, and that's where the clouds parted and the truth was exposed. Um, and you know, I grew up in the era where if people thought, "Oh, if you have a black belt, you can beat up 5 guys at once," and it's just not true. Um, the only martial art that is proven to give you that lopsided of a skill set is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And my first experience in Jiu-Jitsu, I Hickson threw me a gi and he goes, "Put the gi, tonight you train with us." I thought, wow, can I really? And this was in the 90s. And I rolled with a guy who was about 135 pounds soaking wet. I was 170 pounds. I was doing triathlons at the time. I was an athlete. And I was in my athletic prime and I was competing at the highest level. And this guy comprehensively mauled me. And he did it over and over again, repeatedly. And it takes a lot to admit that. There's two types of people in the world. The type of person's like, "Well, you know, in a street fight, I would have groin shot and eye gouged." And nah, the truth is, if I went in a dark alley with that dude, he'd leave with everything I find valuable. And that's a tough pill to swallow. But there, you know, I was in the latter category, the type that's like, what do I need to exchange to have this level of sorcery over another mortal? And I got addicted to jujitsu from that day on and I never looked back. Opened my first academy in '04. And I mean, I still do it to this day. You know, I'll train tonight. I'll train Saturday at 10 a.m. It's a huge part of my kids' lives. They booked and trained. First place that I took Charlie after Cedar Sinai when he was born is the academy to introduce him to the whole class. And so they've been training now for Charlie's been training for 10 years.
Wow.
Porter, who's 10, has been training for 6. So to say it's a huge part of our lives is really an understatement.
But we got to get back to Elvis for a minute because any of you, all of you should be following Sean on Instagram, if only to see is it on his birthday? On Elvis's birthday or on some anniversary, the entire Flanery family gets dressed up like Elvis. And it is a treat for the eyes and the senses.
Let me tell you this, man. So Chewy's Mexican food restaurant. If you guys know Chewy's Mexican food, and I know they have it in the South. I don't know about the North, but they certainly have it in Texas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana. And they used to, on the king's birthday, if you dressed up like the king, your food was free. Well, they quit doing it 2 years ago, but we said, fuck that. We're not stopping. So we go there and we dress up anyway. They don't give us free food, but we still do that shit to honor the king. And we started because it was like, and every time we'd go to Chewy's on the king's birthday, we'd be the only people in there dressed like E. What are you guys just randomly? You didn't even know the rule? So the whole family gets dressed up, man. And the chick pulls no stops. Like she sews, she designs, like, whoo, top to bottom, man.
No, it's first class. I mean, it's fun. It's seriously taking care of business. And also on the martial art, you wrote and produced Born a Champion, right?
I did, yep.
That's a real personal film and a real good one.
That's my love letter to jujitsu. It really is. If anybody really wants to understand my passion for the martial art, it's in that film. I wrote that in 2011, and we didn't really get it financed until 2019. But it came out and got some incredible feedback from it. People really spoke to martial artists. It's one of the things that I'm most proud of. You go through a career, and if you look at your IMDb page, and I think there's 200 different things that I've been a part of. Really, there's four things that on my deathbed I'd go, man, hey, I hope you check that out. Check
Hey,
that out. Four
hey,
things.
Sean,
And
make it five. Just put insight on it, just for my show.
and insight. There's five now. But you go through your career
Totally.
like that. And Born a Champion's in that list.
Yeah, and you let your boys, I think, do one movie, right?
That was their introduction to the industry and their retirement in one film. But from that film, I got agents calling, going, "Hey, what do you think?" I'm like, "Yeah, no, ain't gonna happen." I mean, if Daddy's in a film and there's a thing, I'll let them go with me and I'll get them a role. But we're not in the industry. They're not going on auditions. They're not fielding offers. None of that. They're out of the industry. They're young kids playing on the trampoline in the backyard and competing in sports and getting homeschooled.
I dig it. And the other, your directorial film, and I think you also did you co-write Frank and Penelope?
I wrote it.
You
Yep.
wrote it and directed it. I
Yep.
love that movie.
I appreciate it, brother.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. That's on the list as well. I'm incredibly proud of
Yeah.
that. After COVID, discoverability was a huge problem. So it never, like, to this day, some people who I'm dear friends with are like, "What? When did that come out?" It
Right.
just kind of it dissolved into the atmosphere somehow, but it didn't get found. I hope someday it will.
I
Yeah,
loved it.
I
I love the
appreciate it.
execution. I love the style. I love the performances.
Got to
You
add
know,
it to the list.
it's become a motif in the show, adding it to the list.
Hey,
Also,
wait,
you
wait.
have to put Nefarious on the list. Nefarious is an Oscar level. If it was any other kind of movie, Mr. Flanery would have been nominated for an Oscar for Nefarious. It's not a joke.
appreciate that,
It's not a
brother.
joke. It's just the truth.
I appreciate
It's
it.
the truth.
Okay, so what's the film that I just added to the list?
Born a Champion,
Born a Champion. Okay,
Nefarious.
got it.
You don't have to put Saw 3D on there, but I hope it was a good paycheck because it's a popular movie.
Yeah, no, that's not on the list.
That's not on the
Add
list.
Frank and Penelope to the list, though.
Yep, Frank and Penelope.
Okay, yeah.
And your book, Jane 2, is spectacular.
And that's on the list as well. Thank you, sir.
It says a novel, but I mean, isn't it pretty autobiographical, sorta?
So no, so the way that turned out, I moved out to LA to be a writer. I wrote a piece of children's theater called Captain Coco, and I moved out there to be a writer. The only reason being I was doing theater at University of St. Thomas in Houston, but I just thought I don't know anybody in the industry. I don't have a dad or a sister or a brother. The odds of a panel of 10 people selecting me is few and far between. In full disclosure, I thought I was a good actor. I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but I'm just being honest. I thought I'm good at this. But I didn't like my odds of being selected. I'll give you an example. If I was in the Olympics, I'd rather be Usain Bolt than Greg Louganis. I don't want a panel of people judging me. Like, if you break the tape first, you win. There's no arguments. Nobody's going to go, well, Usain's fast, but his elbows were a little flappy. They're going, who cares? The guy's faster. So I went out there to be a writer. I knew I could wait tables, earn enough money, and produce my own play. And I ended up writing for a handful of periodicals, Details, Detour, things like that. And editor of Jane magazine, Jane Pratt, called my agent and said, "Hey, I love his writing. I'd love him to write something for our magazine." I said, "I have no idea what I could possibly lend to a chicks magazine that talks about, I don't know, like makeup and fellatio and wacky shit like that." Yeah. Well, that's true, man. She said, what if you write about your first kiss?" And I said, "Serendipity. There's a story, and oddly enough, about a girl I met when I was a kid named Jane." I said, "I've always wanted to write this as a novel. It's something that happened to me." And I said, "I tell you what, I'll write it as a short story." And it came out in her magazine, and companies came out of the woodwork trying to get the rights to it. So I knew I was kind of onto something. I didn't want to sell the rights because it's a personal story. And I just kind of sat on it for years and years and years until I wrote it in long form. And I wrote it as a novel because I don't want some people to set my house on fire. Um, but yeah, there's my granddaddy's real, my dad's real. A lot of those things are real in it. I combined a couple locations, geography just to make it more accessible and reduce time cuts. But there's a lot of truth in that book. And one of the big reasons I wrote it is if anything ever happened to me, if a boulder fell on my head, my kids could read that book, and there's a lot of what I'd want them to know and teach them in that book.
It's beautiful. You know, and interestingly enough, that's one of the reasons I'm doing this show.
It's a good reason, brother.
Meeting my friends, documenting the career and the life, and it'll be on YouTube forever. So hey, like and subscribe. You know, another thing, some fun thing is we did Insight together, and then we ended up with acting gigs in the same movie in Buffalo, and we did VA 33. That was an adventure out there in Buffalo. And I think we might have eaten at a Fridays, and you told me you worked at Fridays. There might have been a Fridays there. Yeah, absolutely.
You know, Sean, I've heard a ton about you from Richard, and I'm so glad to have met you, even though it's through a TV, because, man, you're incredible. And here's to you, man.
Brother, I appreciate it, man. I'm flattered. God bless you too.
Also have to give a shout out to our mutual friend, Jim Burleson, because I know you just wrapped a film that he directed called Coppers, which looks like a blast, pun intended, full of action.
We had a great time. We were out in New Mexico, in Socorro, New Mexico, but had a great time, man. Great top shelf dude too.
Yeah, and I've been to Socorro, so I know what you're talking about. And I've been to the hotel, and I know what you're talking about. But thanks to him, we got to hang out together in at the Albuquerque Comic Con, and you got to find out that I was a rock and roll musician. And I will tell you that when you came to that gig, you coming up to me afterwards and complimenting what I had done, I want the world to know this, even though he's completely obscure. Sean Patrick Flanery came up to me, he said, you know, Richard, you're a damn good director. You can act. But you're a musician, weren't you playing for 80,000 people? That is what he said, and I don't know why, but I'm still living my double life. I'm blessed to have friends who are also in ways role models, that like-minded people like yourself in my life, and Bobby.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Patrick Flanery, thank you so much.
Hey, before we go, let me put a pause on that crap right now. Number one, I got to single out your mint chocolate chip guitar behind you, but specifically, so people know I'm not blowing smoke, there's a song you wrote. I want to say the name is Hollywood.
That is it.
Dude, it just like, for whatever reason, if Nefarious came out in a different time, it would have. Dude, that could be a hit song on any radio station anywhere. I defy you to listen to that and not go, holy shit, how did this get swept under the rug? It truly is, brother. You listen to that, you're like, this could be on anybody's top 10 song list. It just could. And that's one of the wonderful things about meeting people like this. You go through life and you go, you know, it's that story of the Beatles. You know, 15 labels turned the Beatles down. And you go, holy shit, that's what gives you hope in this industry. You know, one of my favorite stories, one of my favorite books, A Confederacy of Dunces. It was turned down by every publishing house. He ended up committing suicide. His mother got it published. It was on the #1 list for, I don't know, 5 years.
Right.
It just goes to show you, discoverability is everything. And dude, your song Hollywood, dude, it's a killer song by anyone's estimation, and no one's ever heard about it. And brother, there's disdain and desire in that. You know what I mean? You kind of hate it, but you kind of love it a little bit. You're like, got away with pulling this off, and you guys don't even know about it. There's something very possessive about wonderful art, where you're almost like, when I grew up, you'd play a killer song, and if an orange Corvette pulled up next to you playing some obscure song, you got the 12-inch single imported from UK, you're almost pissed off. Who turned on that guy to this song? He shouldn't have access to it. I want you to think that way about Hollywood, dude. You wrote it. It's part of you. Only the right people get it.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you so much. Amazing. Sean Patrick Flanery.
God bless you guys.
God bless you.
Pleasure to meet you, brother. God
Okay,
bless.
brother, thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes an awesome episode of Party Nerds Podcast. Richard Gabai, Robert Carradine, Sean Patrick Flanery. Like and subscribe. See you soon, brother.
Subscribe.
Take care, y'all.
Thanks, man. Thank you.